Imagine the grandeur of ancient Babylon, golden palaces, the majestic hanging gardens, and a king whose ego could rival the Tower of Babel. King Nebuchadnezzar II, the mightiest ruler of his era, suddenly finds himself grazing in the fields like an ox, his hair matted like eagle's feathers, and his nails resembling bird claws. No, this isn't a Mesopotamian episode of Extreme Makeover Beast Edition. This is the biblical account of a king's descent into madness. But what really happened? Was it a medical condition, a divine reprimand, or a tale spun for political purposes? Let's delve into the enigma of Nebuchadnezzar's madness, the biblical account. The book of Daniel, chapter 4, paints this descent into madness with dramatic flair, worthy of an Oscar if ancient scrolls had award shows. In this extraordinary chapter, Nebuchadnezzar himself narrates his bizarre fall from grace, the only time a pagan king gets a first-person voice in the Bible, which makes it stand out like a golden calf at a prayer meeting. He dreams of a mighty tree reaching the heavens, so large it provides shelter to beasts and birds, symbolizing his vast empire. But suddenly, a holy watcher, think of an ancient cosmic referee with serious lumberjack energy, decrees that the tree must be cut down, leaving only a stump bound in iron and bronze. Daniel, the wise Jewish exile and dream interpreter-in-chief, deciphers the vision. The tree is Nebuchadnezzar himself, and unless he dials back his astronomical pride, he's going to be chopped down, metaphorically losing his kingdom and his mind. True to prophecy, Nebuchadnezzar's pride bubbles over like an overcarbonated bottle of ancient beer, and bam, he's crawling around the palace lawns, grazing with goats and probably terrifying the royal gardeners. The phrase 7 times passes scholars' debate whether this refers to 7 literal years or simply a complete cycle of divine punishment. But eventually, the king lifts his eyes to heaven and finally acknowledges that he's not the master of the universe. Sanity restored, kingdom reinstated. It's not just a bizarre story of madness, it's practically the world's first TED Talk about the dangers of unchecked ego delivered with the subtlety of a thunderbolt. Medical perspectives. Fast forward a couple of thousand years, and modern psychiatrists have weighed in on Nebuchadnezzar's curious case. One leading hypothesis? Boanthropy, a rare and fascinating psychological disorder where an individual believes they are a bovine. Yes, seriously, in boanthropy, sufferers adopt full-blown cow behavior, including preferring to live outside, crawling on all fours, and even eating grass or hay. It's rare today but documented in psychiatric literature, with notable modern cases eerily mirroring Nebuchadnezzar's ancient behavior. Scholars like Dr. Raymond Harrison, writing in the Journal of Mental Science, have proposed that Nebuchadnezzar's symptoms align disturbingly well with acute psychosis, possibly triggered by intense psychological stress, spiritual guilt, or even trauma from leading endless military campaigns and massive empire-building projects. Other medical suggestions include porphyria, a hereditary disorder that affects the nervous system and can cause dramatic mood swings, hallucinations, and paranoia, all wrapped up with a delightful bow of photosensitivity. Another, albeit more controversial suggestion is general paresis, the later stages of untreated syphilis, leading to mental deterioration. However, this remains speculative given what we know, or don't know, about sexually transmitted infections in 6th century BCE Babylon. Regardless of the exact cause, modern mental health professionals agree. Nebuchadnezzar's described symptoms, delusions, animalistic behavior, loss of rational thought, prolonged isolation could easily fit within the known boundaries of human mental illness today. Whether the ancient king needed a prophet or a really good therapist is up for debate, but his saga definitely highlights how ancient minds wrestled with issues that still puzzle psychiatrists today. Archaeological insights. You might be wondering, okay, but where's the hard proof? Excellent question, my historically hungry friend. Archaeology doesn't hand us a clay tablet reading, "Dear Diary, lost my mind today, currently mooing." Nebi. But it does offer tantalizing clues. One particularly intriguing artifact is a Babylonian clay tablet housed at the British Museum, known as BM 34113. This fragmentary text hints at a period during Nebuchadnezzar's reign when he gave contradictory orders, and exhibited a lack of concern for his family and political duties. Behavior wildly out of character for a king famous for meticulously organizing one of the greatest cities of the ancient world. Some historians, like Assyriologist A.K. Grayson, have suggested that this shift in behavior could be linked to the mental break described in the Bible. Additionally, the prayer of Nabonidus, a text found among the Dead Sea Scrolls, tells of another Babylonian monarch afflicted by a terrible disease from God, who spent years living in isolation until he was healed by a Jewish wise man. Although Nabonidus and Nebuchadnezzar are different kings, the striking similarities have fueled theories that oral traditions blurred their stories for theological purposes. Bottom line, while no ancient paparazzi caught Nebuchadnezzar mid-moo, these overlapping pieces of evidence suggest something very strange and historically real did shake the palace walls of Babylon: divine punishment. In theological terms, Nebuchadnezzar's breakdown isn't just a royal oopsie, it's cosmic justice served cold, with a side of humility stew. The Book of Daniel presents this strange, almost tragic episode as a living lesson about divine sovereignty. No matter how mighty, wealthy, or influential you are, you're still playing checkers while God is playing 4D chess. Nebuchadnezzar's grotesque transformation into a beastly figure reflects a broader biblical pattern, from Pharaoh's stubbornness to King Saul's downfall, where pride invariably leads to dramatic consequences. His madness becomes an outward sign of an inward spiritual disease: unchecked arrogance. Ancient Jewish readers suffering under Babylonian captivity would have found deep hope in this portrayal. It was a divine wink to them. See, even kings aren't safe when they puff up their egos. For a nation crushed and exiled, this story wasn't just theology, it was emotional armor. Intriguingly, ancient Mesopotamian cultures also believed madness could be a divine punishment, sent by gods like Marduk or Shamash to humble the rebellious. This cross-cultural belief strengthens the plausibility that Nebuchadnezzar's madness would have been seen as an act of divine intervention rather than mere coincidence. In short, if you strut too hard before heaven, don't be surprised if you end up chewing cud under the night sky. Propaganda or parable. Of course, not everyone sees Nebuchadnezzar's madness as a simple diary entry from the royal archives. Many scholars today argue that the story serves as a brilliantly engineered political parable or spiritual propaganda designed for maximum emotional impact. Think about it. After Jerusalem's destruction and the traumatic exile, the Jewish people desperately needed a narrative that reminded them their God was still the ultimate authority, even over the mighty kings of Babylon. The image of the conqueror king being reduced to animalistic humiliation was a literary gut punch aimed right at imperial pride. In this light, the tale isn't about revenge, it's about resilience. It reassures the exiles that their suffering isn't the end of the story, and that divine justice moves slowly but surely. This thematic device mirrors the moral structure seen in other ancient epics, like the Epic of Gilgamesh, where the prideful hero faces the crushing limits of mortality and divine authority. Whether or not every detail of Nebuchadnezzar's grassy diet actually happened doesn't lessen the story's force. Its brilliance lies in its symbolic power. It's basically ancient Israel's way of flipping the script. Babylon may have taken the city, but in the grand cosmic scheme, it's the proud who end up grazing in fields. Talk about a plot twist for the ages. And that, my friends, wraps up the wild, grass-munching, empire-shaking story of Nebuchadnezzar's madness. If you enjoyed this deep dive into ancient drama, go ahead and smash that like and subscribe for more mind-blowing history, mysteries, and epic ancient tales. And don't forget to ring that notification bell so you never miss when we unleash another ancient plot twist straight into your feed. Thanks for watching, and remember, stay curious, stay humble, and maybe stick to salads instead of grass. See you in the next video.